ARK is filled with over 200 unique creatures, each with its own abilities and mechanics, but what most players don't realize is just how many hidden abilities are buried in the game, and one of the best examples of that is the Dinopithecus. The Dinopithecus has a poop throwing ability, and if you didn't know, by holding X and then you can kind of left click, it actually throws its poop. And now believe it or not, if you throw it at somebody wearing a full tech suit, it actually fully immobilizes their armor, basically not allowing it to work for a couple seconds. The Pachy has the ability to actually one-shot wooden spike walls. With its little rage ability that allows it to kind of run fast, it uses its head and it heads but spike walls, but believe it or not, it actually doesn't take any damage and can basically get rid of an entire row of them in one go. Over here on Fjordor, which can be found right here on the map, and then here is your GPS just for your coordinates. If you come over here into this little purple area, there's a lake right there, and then this is the Aberration Cave, or just the Rock Drake Trench, and you have a Desmodus. Well, believe it or not, the Desmodus is actually immune to radiation. So let me go ahead and show you. So when you fly all the way down here, there's a bit of a journey, so I'll just skip this real quick. Alright, and then here is your entrance straight into here. As you can see, I have the radiation sickness on me, but because of my suit, it is not affecting me, and it is not affecting the Desmodus. The Desmodus does get affected on other maps like Aberration and stuff, but for some reason on Fjordor, it just does not get affected at all, which is really great for just getting like some rock drake eggs. So if you just want to just save you some time and some hassle, come over here and get your rock drake eggs instead of Aberration or other maps. It's a lot easier. Now, if you've ever had a Bloodstalker on Evolved, you would know that they're used for a lot of interesting different things, but something a little bit interesting is, well, their names randomly change. Now, this today is technically already patched, I believe. I couldn't get it to function, so I had to kind of, maneuver it. But yeah, anyways, every time that you drink a beer and you are around a Bloodstalker, their name changes. So yeah, like I said, it doesn't work, but here are the names that you get according to all the research that I've done. You get Creepypasta, you get Bloodletty Spaghetti, Just a Bunch of Evil, just like a bunch of evil, my bad, Daddy Boglegs, Mr. Wiggles, Flying Spaghetti Monster, that's probably my favorite one right there, Count Dragular, Grabby McSlurpy, Dr. Stabby, Free Hugs with a Z, Demonic Twine, and Man Spider. These are all the names that it just turns into. So for some reason, every time that you drink a beer or something like during a raid, if you have noticed it on Evolved, well, the names will just randomly change. Now back on Evolved, this thing is called the Trope. If you don't know what the Trope is, it was released with Crystal Isles. It is actually a pretty useful dino. I mean, it's relatively quick. It has a cannon on the front, so it can literally shoot out grenades and stuff. Not to mention it has a literal jetpack, which is kind of cool. But did you know that the Trope can actually do something a little bit different? So inside of its inventory, at first you normally don't really see that much, right? Well, if you put items in his inventory and you click them, you can actually grind them inside of his inventory, which is insane. For some reason, this one is not working, but like I can put this in here and it allows me to grind it down. As you can see, I get black pearls, crystal, I get ingots, and of course, organic polymer, which is pretty insane. A lot of people don't even know that this is a thing, including me. I kind of was just stumbling around some dinos and came across it. I was like, wait, that's kind of insane. But yeah, it is literally a portable industrial grinder, and it can grind stuff as high as a tech replicator in here. Pretty insane. Just gotta watch out for his weight though, because if he does get maxed out, he doesn't move. I'm interrupting today's video to tell you that this video is actually sponsored by the subscribe button. You see, I'm nearly at 100,000 subscribers and would love your support. Since I'm not doing a sponsor for this video, it would absolutely mean the world to me. Okay, did you subscribe? Psych! This video is sponsored by Mitra 9. Mitra 9 is a non-alcoholic supplement that quite literally makes you feel good. These drinks give you a high, but without the impairment. They have a ton of great flavors, my favorite being root beer. If you're looking for a new drink to replace your coffee in the morning, Mitra is the way to go. Simply go to mitra9.com and use my code Outcast for 25% off your entire order. Now, back to the video. Now when you have an Oasisaur, they're usually really good for just like reviving dinos or something, but they actually have a couple other really insane abilities. First of all, when you have a crop plot and you place it down on its back, anywhere, it doesn't really matter, and you walk up to it, it is actually auto-fertilized, meaning that you do not need any fertilizer for this at all. And not to mention it has a 300% greenhouse effect, basically acting as a greenhouse on its back. Now over here, I actually planted some crops just to kind of show this. And yeah, these were just planted a couple minutes ago, and they're already at seedling, and I think they're about to hit their second stage. These ones are the Instagrow ones, so that's a little bit different. But yeah, they do work pretty well, and honestly, it's probably one of the best ways to grow crops in my opinion, because you can plant roughly 40 or 50 ones, actually, considering that you can stack them. Pretty much infinite crops. So if you need a really good spot to kind of have a crop area, don't build a greenhouse. I would just recommend getting one of these. Now, when raising a Reaper, the first thing that you want to do is go ahead and get her health low, and of course have her impregnate you. This is going to take a little bit, so just kind of keep just repeating this process over until she decides to grab you. You need to be in range, and of course, you know, she'll pick you up with her little end of the tail. So let me go ahead and do that. And as you can see, I am now getting impregnated. Then once you have the baby, go ahead and go back to your base. And then go ahead and make sure that you're inside of a base, but you also want to be inside of a box. So we have 8 seconds left, and now when she decides to come out, you need to go ahead and cryo her instantly. So as you can see, here's the animation. So wait until it is fully out, and just to be clear, I am in God mode. You are going to get very, very low in health, and instantly put her into a cryo, or him into a cryo, I should say. So claim him, and instantly cryo. It's going to be a little tricky, because he's going to just try to run around, and just like that, you have yourself a baby Reaper. Now, usually you would need the glands and all that, because with the glands, it would basically kind of de-aggro her and all, or him and all that. But just by using a cryo, it actually fixes all this. And then you can just go ahead and just throw him back out. And just like that, he is fully de-aggroed. Now, I do not know what happened. He's already his full phase, sort of. But yeah, that's how you basically get him to de-aggro from you. A lot of people do not know that this is even here. Again, he does not raise this quickly. I am on boosted settings just to show you guys. But yeah, that's how to instantly just de-aggro him and make sure that he doesn't instantly kill you. However, letting him kill you does give him a bonus, so I would recommend it. But then after you respawn, go ahead and cryo him again, and then, you know, then you're good. It's pretty simple. It's just a nice little tactic that a lot of people don't even really know. When on a rock drake in an aberration zone, this could be on aberration, it could be on other maps like Valguero or something. As long as you're in an aberration zone and your feathers actually rise on the rock drake's head, that actually means that there is a Reaper that is nearby. Now, this Reaper could be a wild Reaper, it could be a tamed enemy Reaper, but it's just as long as there is a Reaper nearby that is not yours, of course. Which is kind of cool. At first, I thought it was just a wild one, but no, it's actually with tamed ones too. Now, with the Equus, it's usually really good with a couple different things, you know, from being good for knockout or just good for crafting stuff in its inventory. But I don't know if you guys have seen this or not, but he actually does have a lasso in here. A lot of people might know about this, but the lasso has one ability a lot of people really do not know about, and that is the fact that it can pull knocked out dinos. So let me go ahead and show you this really quick. All right, so you got to get your lasso on your hotbar and simply walk up to your, you know, bird or just your tame or whatever, and it has to be knocked out, and then go ahead and lasso it. And as you can see, you can actually drag him around. This is a tip I've just overlooked on everything. I've never really seen too many people that are really talking about this. It is an amazing tip. So if you knock out a PT in a horrible spot, you're like, oh god, he's gonna get killed, just go take him back to your base. Just go take him to a better and a safer area. It's super, super helpful. And a lot of people don't even really know about this. This guy can pretty much lasso anything that is roughly the same size as him. Like, you know, PTs, you got like a dire wolf, dire bear, kind of stuff just like that. It is super, super helpful for just a solo or a duo that just really, you know, can't have a dino get knocked out in a bad area. Now, the Oasisaur is ARK's newest creature, and it actually has a couple different little abilities that you may not know about. So of course it has its main role and stuff, but actually, the Oasisaur cannot be picked by a flyer. Now, what I mean by this is that the player cannot be picked by a flyer. So here's a little video clip, because it's kind of hard for me to show it on single player because I have to have a second person. I don't really have one at the moment. But here is a video clip of this. It's very confusing, but no matter what, no flyer on ARK can pick the Oasisaur. The Rhinogothia can pick it up, but it cannot pick a player off of the back of it. I think it's a bit of a bug, but it may be an ability that might stay. So if you ever think about, you know, just going out and just wandering around, the Oasisaur may be something to, you know, not overlook anymore, considering it has this very overpowered ability. The Archelon is only one of very, very few dinos that are actually immune to jellyfish stings. So here is a little pack of jellyfish, and just to show I'm not an admin or anything, and if you walk straight up to them, they will try to sting you, but as you can see, it does nothing. You are completely immune. I can still swim around, versus on other dinos, it just dismounts you, and basically you're just kind of dead. You can't really do anything about it. And not to mention, they are phenomenal at farming biotoxin. Like, there's the rates. I believe I'm on 2x rates, I think. I could be wrong. But yeah, if you guys just want to just get some easy biotoxin, just go ahead and just get yourself an Archelon. They're super helpful. The Pachyrhinosaurus is one of the more overlooked dinos on ARK, but it actually has a pretty insane ability. So as you can see here are a ton of raptors on me. What, about 5 of them, I believe, all level 150. and believe it or not, it has two different kind of pheromones. The first one being this. This is the calming pheromone, and as you can see, it de-aggroes everything off of me. And just like that, all the raptors are now busy, and they're going to do something else. So yeah, they do aggro back onto you after the buff is gone, but it gives you the ability just to kind of get out of here super quickly if you really need to. Now, by hitting C, you have this pheromone. This pheromone aggroes everything onto you. So yeah, as you can see, now they're all back onto me. But as soon as I do the other ability, which I have to wait 10 seconds still, they all just kind of just de-aggro. So yeah, the Pachy Rhino is just always one of those dinos that nobody really uses. If you are taming something and you want to keep things off of you, you can use the pheromone to do that. You know, all you gotta do, just right click and boom. They're all gone just like that, and they just leave your entire area, which is super helpful for just taming creatures. The Dimetrodon is one of the more overlooked dinos. Again, it is just something a lot of players don't really use because there's just so many other dinos in the game to use, and it doesn't really have too many crazy abilities. But his main ability is actually more useful than you think. So the Dimetrodon, also known as the portable AC unit, actually can help in a couple different ways. First of all, if you're ever in a bad environment like on Scorched Earth or something, if you tame yourself one of these and stand by it, it will actually kind of keep you cold. Another one is for raising dinos. Here is a fertilized Rex egg next to it, and at first it is too cold, but instantly turns into incubating. And just like that, you can incubate dinos right next to this, and that is any egg. If you're ever kind of in a loop and you're stuck or your base just got raided, but you got a Dimetrodon on you and you need to raise up some dinos real quick, just go slap him down in a cave and just go ahead and put some eggs on him. And you can completely surround him with eggs all the way out to about, I think about right here for radius around him. It's not a massive radius, but very, very helpful dino. The Helicoprion is again a newer-ish dino to ARK. It's been out for about a month and a half now, to 2 months I believe, and the Helicoprion is a pretty decent shark for the most part, but he does have an ability that is overlooked often as well, and that is the ability to make blueprints. If you have an item, go ahead and place it in his inventory, and then as soon as you click it, it will let you convert to blueprint, which the time to convert is 50 seconds. So as you can see, he will then start to convert it into a blueprint. This does take a little bit. It is different depending on the, the item and the quality, what kind. If it's like a Mastercraft or a Senate, it will take a little bit longer. It could take up to around 3-ish minutes. And yeah, it does dismount you, so just a little heads up. Now this only works with items from drops. If you spawn an item in, or you try to craft something and try to give it back to him, he will not take it and he will just destroy the item. So you need to be careful when doing this, and you need to just know it is strictly only from drops. But yeah, we have about 18 seconds left. And just know, if anything does attack him during this, he cannot fight back, so he's going to die. So you have to be careful where you do this. I would just recommend doing this in like a dino pen or just something. So yeah, the time remaining is 4 seconds. Let's go into his inventory. Oh wait, that's right. You can't access inventory while breaking. Okay, and it accidentally broke the item. So yeah, it has about a 50% chance to break items. I think it's a little bit different depending on the item, of course. But yeah, it will not always make you a blueprint. So you need to also just be careful with that. So if you are risking a very, very good item, just know it might get destroyed. The Argentavis is again another very, very helpful dino. So if you didn't know, you can actually hold up to 3 dinos on this guy. The first one being in your character's hands, so I would recommend getting something like a dung beetle or a Occatina, if you just tamed one and you gotta take it back to your base. As you can see, he actually holds it while you're sitting on the saddle. The next one is of course a raptor or just something smaller for him to hold in his hands. You could even do this with like an Anki, and then by hitting C, you can actually pick up a smaller dino in his mouth. It is a little tricky to kind of get both of them because it does accidentally drop the raptor sometimes. So let me try to fix this real quick. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and hit C first, see if that might fix it, and then you got right click, which picks up the dino. Okay, so yeah, so it is a bit broken at the moment, but you have to go ahead and pick up the item in your mouth, or the dino in your mouth, and then the bottom one. But you can have up to 3 dinos on the Argentavis, which is actually wild. It is amazing for just traveling, and I really wish that Wildcard would just implement this into a lot of other dinos, because it would actually make it very helpful. The otter has always been a great shoulder mount just to have, but he has an amazing ability a lot of people do overlook, and that is the ability to hold artifacts. So for example, here in my inventory, I already have the artifact of the Devourer, right? So of course, I cannot pick up a second one. While on the otter, if you get the otter nearby him, and you can go ahead and put your artifact in there, well, he can hold up to, his weight, of course, in artifacts, which is kind of insane. Back on Evolved, I could have sworn it was only one artifact at a time and you couldn't put more than 2 of the same kind in an otter. But today on ASA, well, that says otherwise. So yeah, if you ever need a bunch of artifacts or you're just gonna do a massive run, bring an otter and bring a couple other people and just stack up on artifacts because, well, it is very, very helpful. The Diplocaulus is another dino that can be found in the swamp, and it is another dino a lot of players actually overlook. So his main ability is basically he is a portable oxygen tank for you. Now, you cannot ride him on land, so you have to go ahead and lead him into the water, and then you are able to ride him. So you see, as soon as he hits the water, you can go up to him, and then you can ride him. And believe it or not, you do not need an oxygen tank, you can just use him. So just for reference, I am out of God mode, just so that you can see it, and as you can see there, his oxygen is basically just filling mine up. The best part about this, he's insanely quick. So if you ever need to just kind of travel around underwater, I would highly recommend these. These are about the same speed as a Itchy, I believe. Might be a little bit quicker, but yeah, it is super, super helpful. I would recommend it for anybody who is a new player, and they're super simple to tame as well. It takes like 5 minutes. But yeah, if you are also underwater and you are off of them, his little oxygen tank is right there. You can go up to him and you can say give oxygen, and he will like burp it into your mouth, which is kind of interesting. The Baryonyx is one of those dinos that is actually pretty good, but it has an ability that is very overpowered, and that is the ability to stun any dino that it comes in contact with as long as it's underwater. So by hitting right click, you are able to stun all of these dinos at once, and as you can see, they are all knocked out for a second, allowing you to kind of just swim away from them. And yeah, just like that, completely just immobilizes all of them, which is pretty insane. And look, they don't even re-aggro onto me. They actually just go away, which is pretty crazy. Now, I wanted to test the limits, so let's test this on some bigger dinos. So here is a Tuso, so let's see if the Tuso gets affected by this. As you can see, it appears he is actually affected. Okay, maybe not. Well, yeah, it does appear that the Tuso does get affected by this. He is going the opposite. Okay, wait a minute, he's coming back. Yeah, he is not attacking me. He's just kind of immobilized. Alright, let's test it on something a little bit bigger. Alrighty, and then here is a Moza. Now let's see if I can actually stun him. Okay, maybe not. It looks like they may have patched the Moza, but back on ASC, you were able to actually stun bigger dinos like the Moza, which was just absolutely insane. Now this dino is also pretty amazing for just PvP, because you can stun people on dinos and it knocks them off of their dinos, which is very overpowered. If you're ever on a Tapejara mid-air and you are about to run out of stamina, but you're like, oh, I don't want to go land down there because, you know, enemies might find you or something, well, there's a pretty easy method to get his stamina back up. Simply, just hop out, use a crossbow, and grapple straight up to your Tapejara. Now, usually this will not gain the stamina back, so you have to go ahead and sit down into one of his back seats. So he has a front and a back seat on him, and his stamina will actually just regain by doing this, which is pretty insane. So yeah, give it a second and then hop back off, grapple back up to him, and boom, as you can see, his stamina has already gone up quite a bit. It does take a second, so you have to kind of be patient with it. But yeah, if you're ever just in the air and you're like, I don't want to land, or you're just trying to do like 100-day challenge or something in the air, well, it is actually possible, which is very helpful for just traveling without being seen. If you're ever on the go and you need to go ahead and power a refining forge and a campfire and you don't have any wood in either of them, well, actually, if you have yourself a pyro main, they can light it for you. Simply go into their inventory and then go down here to change fire sources and go ahead and change it to either low, medium, or high. I'm just going to do high, and as you can see, it instantly will turn these on. And this does work for a couple other things, but for the most part, it's just the refining forge and campfire. I'm not entirely sure what the other ones are, but according to the forums that I'm seeing, it can light quite a bit of stuff. In both Evolved and Ascended, the Lymantria has one pretty insane ability, and that is the ability to fart on plants. By farting on plants, it actually gives them a buff and allows for plants to grow slightly faster. It's not a major upgrade, but shockingly this actually works. It's something in the dossier too. It's called a fart cloud, or you have fart spores, which basically kind of act as like the spore around it that just kind of gets absorbed into the plant, which is kind of interesting. If you don't know, the Parasaur is actually a lot more useful than you think. So the Parasaur had a TLC a couple years ago, which basically fixed it and made it actually kind of useful. So it has this thing called turret mode, which basically enables a system where it can find enemy players or dinos. So by using an RG with a Parasaur on turret mode, well, Let me just go ahead and show you. So if you're ever just kind of wandering around the map and you're bored and you're just like, hey, I want to go hunt for some, hidden dinos or something. Well, this picks up Purlovias. And as you can see, the Purlovias pop up on screen just like that, and they can be found basically underground. It is insanely useful, and yeah, just like that, it literally will tell you where a Purlovia is. So I've hidden 3 of them. As you can see, it spotted all 3 of the Purlovias. This one being right here, and this one being right over here. It is crazy useful. Now, something else that you can do to get Purlovias out from their little hiding spots is by using C4. So let me wait for him to ping again. And he is right here. So let me go ahead and place a C4. It won't let you put it directly on him, but you can put it around him. And just by detonating it, well, the Purlovia comes out. And boom, just like that, you can get yourself some loot. As long as you kill him, well, it's basically just free loot. A lot of people don't even know that you can do this with Parasaurs. It is crazy useful. And boom, look at all the tech stuff I just got. It's that easy to find these Purlovias, especially because people hide them all over the place. Now, this is more of just kind of a tip for newer-ish players to ARK. Now, this is the Leopleurodon. The Leopleurodon is a dino that can be found pretty much on any map underwater, just randomly. They spawn randomly underwater, and they only last 30 minutes, which is kind of a bit of an issue because these things are not the fastest. So the good thing about these guys is that they actually give you a buff for just luck. And by what I mean by that is basically it's for drops. So it boosts drops nearly 50 to 100% with just item quality. And it can actually has a pretty big chance of giving you some pretty insane loot. So if you ever do find one of these, you only have 30 minutes, so you got to go fast. But yeah, you don't need a saddle to tame it. And well, let me just show you what it gives you out of some of these drops. So this is just a regular one, as you can see, 228 flak boots, already pretty good. The chitin helmet kind of sucks though. So let's keep looting. Let's see what else we get. A Mastercraft scuba tank, which is cool, and a Thylo saddle and some shadow stakes, so it's okay. And just to be clear, this is all official stats for drops. I have not modified any of it. This one, 171 chitin helmet. So honestly, for this being official, it's actually not bad at all. This one is okay. An Ascendant Helicoprion saddle, 92 armor. That's pretty good actually. And then what is this? Ooh, a Mastercraft shield with 5,000 Dura. That's okay. It's not great, but that's not bad. And then a Ascendant Carno saddle, which is 96 armor. Yeah, I mean, his luck actually does help a good bit. So if you are ever near one and you do see one just kind of wandering around, definitely go tame it. Just make sure that you know where all your drops are. The Iguanodon is another really insane dino to get that has a very useful ability for honestly any kind of tribe. When you go ahead and you're farming and you get your berries just like normal, yeah, this is about it, but he gets a little bit of seeds, right? Well, actually, if you get off of him and you go into his little hotbar icon, there's this thing called Seed Fruit in Inventory. If you click it, he does a little bit of an animation and turns all of your fruit and stuff just straight up into seeds. It is incredibly helpful for anybody that is looking to just farm, and just because, I mean, most bases are gonna have a farm in it. Don't overlook the Iguanodon. He is super helpful for that, and he farms pretty decent, honestly. Now, the Daeodon is known as a really good healing dino, but there is a cool little glitch with him, which is kind of an ability that actually allows him to basically regain his food instantaneously. A lot of experienced players know this, but there are still players out there that don't know this. So let's go ahead and just drain his food with right click. As you can see here, his food is in fact going down. So let's drain it all the way down. And just like that, his food is now entirely drained. So his total food is 19,000. So let's go ahead and just place all of our meat in here. There's a bunch of meat. That is not enough to fill it, I don't think. But yeah, here's how to do this. Simply go out of render distance from the pig. So as you can see, fully out of render, go back down, and boom, his food is 100% full with food to spare. So yeah, really cool tip. A lot of players do know about this, but I figured I would kind of put it on this list because there are still a lot of newer players, so pretty cool tip though. When encountering Troodons at night, holding out a torch actually de-aggroes them off of you. And again, as you can see, they literally jump right back on me, and then they're instantly de-aggroed. As soon as I put it away, they're back on me again. And yeah, just like that. You can also toss the torch as well around you, and they won't mess with you at all. The Snow Owl is another amazing dino for actually taming things. Believe it or not, his freeze ability actually really can help with a tame. So for example, here's a Bronto, so let's go ahead and just dive bomb him. Okay, I kind of messed that up, but we can freeze. So let's go ahead and freeze him. Okay, maybe not. I gotta be on top of him, I guess. So let's go ahead and freeze him, like I said. And as soon as you hop off, you are able to put tranks inside of him. Now, this is really more meant for doing this with somebody, because trying to do it solo, yeah, it's not really gonna work. But yeah, if you can keep this method up and you keep freezing him, I think he's on cooldown right now, but if you keep doing this, I mean, you can tame him solo, to be fair. I mean, it's a bit buggy, it takes a little bit longer, but if you do have 2 players, I mean, you can sit here until his stamina runs out and have your other, you know, tribe member come up here and just start tranking him. And, well, you can get yourself a Bronto or anything that you really want. It is super, super easy. So instead of a taming trap, go get a snow owl. The direwolf actually has the ability to sniff out creatures that are lower than 50% health along with players. So there was that PT there. So let me show you some other dinos just so you can see it a little bit better. Alright, so here is this trike over here. And as you can see, I can physically see the health of these creatures, and the white means that they're dead. Pretty cool little tip, as the direwolf is one of the more overlooked creatures, but this came with the old TLC with this guy, which was, I believe, in 2018 or something. It's been a good minute. This ability is very, very much overlooked, but it is very helpful for especially PvP players, because your entire tribe is able to see who is low if you guys are trying to fight somebody, of course. If you're ever underwater and you're farming these little ammonite biles, well, when they die, it actually gives off this little pheromone. Technically, the pheromone is already on me, but it is more strong when they're dead, which actually aggroes pretty much everything that is around you. So if you are ever farming them and you're on a dino that can't really take the hit too much, I would recommend not trying to kill these guys. Plus, they kind of blind you, and it is very FPS inducing as well, which does not help. And, well, yeah, it is insanely annoying. So make sure if you are farming these guys, you need to be on a proper dino that can actually, you know, take on this kind of stuff, like a Tuso or something. The Gigantopithecus, or Bigfoot, in other words, can actually be used on zip lines. I was shocked when I found this out. I was just kind of messing around with some dinos. Hitting spacebar on them will actually allow you to get onto the zip line. It is a little tricky though, so you gotta just get the right angle. And yeah, you can literally just kind of walk your way along the underneath of the zip line. And I'm shocked that ARK actually added this, technically, considering this guy didn't come out. You know, I think he came out with the island or the center, and you know, he has a zipline ability on Aberration. Pretty interesting that they decided to go ahead and add that for him. Now, the mammoth is usually known for its nice abilities, but it has one interesting ability. So when you roar by hitting C, as you can see, it kind of goes up into the air. Well, if you actually walk your way into a little bit of water, and as long as his trunk is underwater and you do it again, he will actually spray water. And funny enough, you can actually do this with crops. So if your crops need some water and you don't want to wait for it to rain, just use a mammoth and you can actually fill it up. Now back on ASE, we're going over to Crystal Isles to show you something that involves the crystal wyverns, specifically the tropical wyvern. So if you know, there are 3 different variants, this being tropical, which spawn over here, over in, I believe this is southwest of the map, over on these little islands. And well, they have a pretty cool buff that a lot of people do not know. So the crystal wyverns normally actually travel the fastest out of any variant of wyvern. So when Crystal Isles comes out with ASA, we're gonna have these wyverns, and I'm telling you, these wyverns are superior. They're just insane. Now the ability that I was talking about, well, when they hit water, just with their wings, they get a speed boost for 30 seconds. As you can see in the top right, it says hydrated. Your dino's speed, health, regeneration, and damage are boosted. So it's not really just speed, it's health, regeneration, and damage that also gets a boost. Realistically, I mean, the best thing about this is the speed boost. I mean, what, it is nearly 25 to 50% faster? I mean, this is pretty insane for PvP servers, but also just for traveling, it's super nice because you can just, you know, hit the water again and just, you know, get the buff back up and active. All right, now this next one isn't entirely considered a dino, but I figured I would kind of put it on this list because it technically acts like a dino in a way. So anyways, here, I'll show you. So this is the Scout. If you don't know what the Scout is, basically it's a thing with extinction that can kind of look for things. It basically is like a surveillance system that flies around the city. There's a ton of them. Like, for example, there's one right there just kind of wandering around. But this has the ability to actually hunt down dinos and track them in the system. Kind of wanted to cover this because I thought that this was kind of funny. But your character just goes into like a T-pose when you're in the Scout. And just to be clear, this only works on ASE. ASA is broken for some reason. So yeah, you can physically click dinos and you can basically pin them, which is kind of cool. Like, for example, if I come up here, as you can see, I can pin them. And then whenever you get out of the drone, you are still tracking that said dino. So it is a little bit trickier to see them, but you can see a tiny little arrow on their screen. I'm going to zoom in for you so you can see it. It is a little bit tricky though. It doesn't last a while though. That's the only problem with this thing, is that it doesn't last like forever. But the coolest thing about it is you can also spot hostile dinos and then you can flag them. And basically it changes based off of, if something is hurt, if it's dead, it'll be white, changes and all that. It's pretty cool. So as you can see, I get out of here and there's a little tiny icon that is moving on my screen right now. I'm trying to ping it for you guys. It's a little tricky to see though. But yeah, you can actually spot it, and then it really helps with just figuring out, hostiles and stuff. So if you are trying to raid a base or something, I guess that could come in handy. And it is something that is overlooked by a lot of the community. Now over here, we are working our way over to the bog area on Genesis Part 1. And this is kind of just covering the swarms. So these swarms can be very annoying as they just do little damage and it's just repetitive. It's basically like fighting off giant mosquitoes, which honestly sounds like a nightmare. So there are a couple ways to actually get them off of you, because a lot of players know, you can't kill them. That's the biggest thing. So they're kind of a pain to do. They're not aggroing on me at the moment, but the biggest way to get them off of you if they are on you is to either go underwater, which it is a little hard down here, but you can go underwater and then they will de-aggro you, or simply hold a torch. That's literally all that you have to do. And then they will stop messing with you. Like, as you can see, here's a torch, and they just kind of go the opposite way in a way. All right, now coming back over to ASE, since it kind of doesn't work on ASA since they took out movement speed, we're gonna go over the Archeo over here because we still have movement speed technically on our player. So if you're on a server on ASA that has movement speed, this should work perfectly. I don't know, I haven't fully tested it on ASA, but on ASE, so this bird is often used as, being very slow with just how he travels. As you can see, he gets going a little bit, but he's not the fastest. So people would always think, oh, let's just upgrade his movement speed. Well, that's actually not right. You're supposed to upgrade your movement speed. So let me go ahead and dump all my levels into movement speed so I can kind of show you the difference, if I can. It's kind of hard to tell. All right, there's my movement speed fully maxed out. You can already see a massive difference here. Now let's go ahead and pick him up. And now I can show you this. As you can see, he is significantly faster. In fact, he's scaling with my movement speed. So yeah, a lot of people do not know that. Don't upgrade movement speed on the Archeo. Upgrade it on your character, and it actually makes a big difference. Look how fast I got from this rock to this one. Still decently slow, but it's more meant for caves and stuff. And that was 35 hidden dino abilities that you probably didn't know. If you didn't know one, please leave a comment down below and let me know which one that you didn't know. And oh, yeah, that's right. Subscribe, or else I'm coming for you. Goodbye.